guys want to see some shit? Listen to EXP. This guy's in charge of EXP. He's a CEO. Look at the look on his face. He's so sad. They're all sad. You want to know why? Because they used to negotiate with listings only.
If a buyer needs compensation paid as an agent, let me know and let's work on it and see what we can do. And
EXP has been running in the wrong direction for years, and they know it. This guy's in charge right here. This guy's the CEO of EXP. Look at the look on his face for Miami. All these agents, they all have a different opinion on it.
The agent on the other side, what did I
listen to this?
So I will tell you, the seller I've been working with, he offered an on time. So like at time of showing, I was authorized to give a certain amount. Well, she had a buyer broker for hire. Cool. So what she did is she negotiated for hire. And her buyer authorized her to keep coming back to it, even though our counters, and finally we got to a price point that the seller was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. She got hers. She did it well. She did it professionally.
You know for a fact that you guys got to list people's properties for free, and you no longer get compensation up front from the seller. You know this, and you're not happy about it.
And this is where for you and I as listing
agents, the seller doesn't have to change nothing. You got to list for free.
Always ask.
You got to list for free.
We assume we're in deep, deep trouble. We always want to ask. And then we want to present it in writing. Because just because they told us, man, life could change when it's in writing, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's so nice to say that
if it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
Sellers will say no to something at the beginning of a listing, and then by the time it comes written in the offer, like, sure, I'll do it. Because it makes sense at that point.
That's called an addendum.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because I said this.
Look at these people trying to spin things. Don't trust EXP. Don't do it, man. Stay away from EXP Alliance Group Orlando. These people are so phony.
An offer from a first-time home buyer using maybe a down payment assistance program, a very
listen to the way they're trying to spin this new agreement.
Restrictions as to what
the bottom line is nobody's going to get paid until the buyer buys the property.
To accept this offer,
the seller doesn't have to accept anything
from the buyer.
It's all up to you guys. It's all on you guys, and you know it. I got a piece of property I'm trying to sell.
The seller's going to make.
You want to list it for free or not? I'll go to another agent that wants to list it for free.
Where it's like, listen, if in Holly's
you can pay an agent $100 to list your property for a year on their. You can get the national listing of MLS.
That's that buyer and seller.
Just go to the big wigs and get your house put on the big one.
I think we continue to overthink it.
And there's open websites now. It's another strategy these people are doing. These open websites that aren't really attached to any realtor.
Because it's, again, the opportunity for us to have better conversations. Now, when we talk about upfront, where and how compensation can be advertised, we still get questions on this. And this is what, directly out of the settlement, you all, we want to be very thoughtful. Please don't put anything in the MLS. Now, I know some of you are like, well, Holly, there's no field, so we can't. Totally understand that. But this is where I want you to check yourself. Because if you put it in, let's say you're showing compensation, like say I text Kendall through showing time and it's like, hey, going to show between 3 and 4 is the seller offering compensation. The minute she responds with a percentage or a dollar amount, she's using the MLS as a vehicle. And I know that sounds nuanced and kind of crazy. Just don't. Just don't. So your seller absolutely can do a lot of
all the EXP agents do it on their videos. All the EXP agents do it on their videos.
In the house.
All the EXP agents do videos.
Skywrite it. You can do banners. You can do billboards. You can do all of those things.
Did you hear what I said? All the EXP agents on an EXP Alliance group are doing that now.
It's that simple.
They're telling you up front what the sellers are offering.
Please don't use the third-party websites that are popping up.
They are already.
It's not.
They are using them.
Practice.
They are using them. I already know it.
Rabbit hole.
My ex-EXP Alliance Group agent is using the alternative site on her YouTube channel. She just incorporated it as an alternative website.
There's a third-party website that has data. You have no ability to, without a shadow of a doubt, like a black and white, in case somebody sues you personally, show that you were not using MLS data, right? Because, and again, I never want to be the one to fearmonger, but this is a very specific distinction.
Oh, the EXP Alliance Group, Orlando agents are going to get burned on this. Oh, they're going to get burned.
By the settlement.
Their YouTube channels need to be taken down. They're doing everything
So
wrong.
if you were to then go do something that is in breach of
Going to be a mass
referencing
exodus.
specifically, and use
I hate those people.
a piece of technology or
I'll
IDX
tell you
or
what.
feed,
This is great.
that is considered
This
a
guy's a
violation of
joker.
agreement, and you're
This
opening
guy's
yourself
such
up
a
for
phony.
personal liability.
Jose.
Yeah,
So-
and I would add really quick, just want to add this, little point. Ladies and gentlemen, do not, so not only do you not have the field, you're not buried in the public remarks, the private remarks, you cannot bury it in a photo in the
YouTube channels.
listing, right?
Well, you
So
better tell
please
these. You
don't
better
try
tell
to hide it in
EXP
the photos.
Alliance
We've
Group
already seen
agents that have YouTube channels,
populate and
baby.
Be told,
You
cannot
better
do that.
go
Our
check your
MLSs
agents' YouTube
are
channels,
leveraging
baby.
AI to scan the listings
I don't
to
know,
find
baby.
violators. So that is real technology
Oh, boy.
happening in real time
It's
right now.
gonna happen in
So
real
they
time.
are catching it, and they are quickly
Ooh,
and
baby.
efficiently finding
Report
a
those-
lot of their members
Yeah,
over this
yeah.
very easy to avoid violation.
Well, they better get off of
it's a
YouTube
please
then.
don't. All right, so let's break down.
They ought to get
sellers'
off of YouTube
success
then, because
strategies.
they're all
And
advertising that
Leo,
way on
you and I
YouTube.
talked a lot about this. And
Look out.
You were such a tremendous listing agent that I'd love.
Leo,
for
you
to
better
jump
get
in
your
on,
agents under
like,
control.
negotiating
clean up your
ideas,
house, baby.
What it looks like, because every listing that you
Big
go on
agent meeting
is
in Miami at
contested.
the end of
You are
October.
competing openly with
You might want to
multiple
smack
others
some
outside
ass
the
down
market.
there instead of giving each other
So
pats on the
one of my
backs and
favorite things
trophies.
is the truth
Oh.
will set you free, and then the one I've added as I've gotten older is the data will set you free.
The data.
Right? So data. When you meet with a seller right now, I believe it is your fiduciary responsibility to fully explain how the world worked, and I phrase it in the sense that this is before the 17th and after the 17th. And as part of that fiduciary responsibility is to actually explain to sellers how everyone gets paid. If you're not disclosing to a seller that you should expect with a high degree of probability that the buyer will be requesting or expecting compensation of some percentage or form or portion in the transaction, you're setting up that seller to fail, right? Because we understand, you need to understand that you can say the BBA is required on the other side of the transaction. The buyer may pay all, part, or none of it. You may pay all, part, or none of it. You can explain that it's going to be a negotiation. And as part of that marketing strategy that you'll develop with the seller, you need to explain all the possibilities. You can explain.
Well, guess
you could have a blanket offer at time of listing, that's seller to broker, with all the different
expect to
avenues
get
that Holly and Kendall
a listing
referenced.
a
You can say
listing fee up front.
you don't need to
Mister.
offer any specific number, just say we're open to it. Or you can say you don't need to offer anything, but by the way, fully expect that someone may still ask, right?
Exactly.
So it is
I
your
have the
job
right to
and
advertise my house for
responsibility
sale.
to give as much information as possible, because we live in a world where sellers are doing all kinds of their own research.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I think most of it will be consumer facing, which is more kind of clickbait headlines with not a lot of substance. I
Like
doubt
your
most
channel?
of those
Like you?
folks will be
Listening to you?
referencing paragraph and
Like
verse
you,
of the settlement
click-based
like we do.
substance?
So
like you
it is
do?
important that you
Well,
set
you
your
guys are
sellers to understand
narcissistic
the
ego too,
market,
by the way.
Right? One of the outcomes, and
Narcissistic,
I talked about this,
egotistical
people say,
bastards
"What's
at
gonna change?"
EXP. Oh,
it
look
is
at this guy.
my opinion.
Your
right? And
opinion.
We'll see what happens in years
See
from
what
now.
happens.
But we will now start to see variability on compensation on the buy side when you look at seasonality, inventory levels, interest rates. So what do I mean by that? On the seller side of representation, we've always seen multiple kind of players. For sale by owners, 5 to 12% on any given year. And by the way, the more for sale by owners tend to be on lower inventory years, and less for sale by owners tend to be when there's a lot of competition and you can't throw a rock and not hit a sign like 08, 09, 2010, 11. And there was a very small percentage of for sale by owners. But there's always been flat fee brokers. There's always been many of service brokers. And there's always been a wide-ranging variety of percentage.
You guys should only get
1, 2, 3, 4,
1%,
5.
man.
Like there's
All
on just the seller side of the
transactions shouldn't get more than
transaction.
1%.
So it is important that the seller
$1,000.
understands the landscape. and
Friggin'
just explain the other
appraiser,
side of the coin on the
an
buy side.
inspector,
So you
a
can
surveyor,
make
they don't even get
decision of
$1,000.
your
Why
marketing
should you
strategy.
agents get more
One
than
of the things that I've
$1,000?
said repeatedly
I might as well
and again is
hire a real estate
that I don't
attorney at
think
this
during
point.
the litigation,
That's the God's honest truth. You're
the
better off
lawyer
hiring a real estate
representing
attorney.
the defendants
Because
on the real estate
EXP,
side
Alliance Group
make the
Orlando,
explanation or the argument
you could
that
file,
buy-side
I could file a lawsuit
compensation
against my realtor
is
right now.
actually demand
Right against
marketing
EXP,
strategy.
easily.
Right? That's a big
I'm not going to
distinction.
waste my time.
in our country,
I'm not going to waste my time.
Again, our country.
Because you know what?
Because the
If
rest
I
of the world
file a
doesn't
lawsuit
operate the
against
same
my
way.
realtor at EXP
You're
Alliance
offering a
Group,
compensation
my realtor will go run to
for
the
strangers
police
to put
and
people
say
in
that
cars
I'm
and commit
doing something
months
against them, and I
months
might get
of time,
arrested.
wear and
I
tear
might
on the
actually get
vehicle
arrested
to help you
for
sell that
filing a
house. That
legal
is a
claim.
marketing
I might
fee
file a
of being
lawsuit against my
advertised. So it's
realtor
just very
at EXP
important
Alliance
that we
Group,
just
and
explain
I
what
might
it
end
is
up getting
and
arrested
let the
by a
seller be an active
overzealous
participant in that marketing
law
strategy.
police
And I love
department
the way you
that wants to
phrase
white
that as a
knight
marketing
for that
strategy,
realtor.
because
You gotta be
it
careful.
absolutely is. And I think
You gotta
that
be
one
careful.
of the scripts that we've seen kind
When you
of
file
emerge,
when you
and
file a
I'm gonna give
lawsuit
huge
against
shout out
somebody,
to Barb Betts,
you might end
out
up in
of,
handcuffs.
the Northeast.
You might get
She came
arrested,
up
end
with
up in
this,
handcuffs
quote,
by
which
that
is
very
basically,
person that
hey,
retaliates
when we
against
get
you.
an ask
You got to be
for,
careful.
seller contribution
Fact
to
is a
either
fact.
buyer closing
Gotta be
costs or
careful.
concessions, or even
When you file a lawsuit
buyer
against
broker
somebody,
fee,
or you
some
file
buyers need
a
assistance
complaint
in
with a state
financing
agency
compensation
against
to
a
their
person,
agent. I
you
love
got to
this
be careful
mindset
you don't
because
end up in
if I'm
handcuffs.
focused with you on
Because
your
all
net
they got to
as a
do is go
seller,
to the
I'm
police,
going to take
one
you
of their
there
best friends
every
at the
single
police
time,
department, and
because
they
at the
could
end of the
file a
day,
case against
it's
you
not
for
just the price
harassment.
we get, it's
Fact.
the terms,
You got to be
conditions,
careful.
the timing.
That's why you got to
Because
get
at the end of the day,
you got to
what
get a
is best
cease
for
to
your
exist
family, and
order
it's net proceeds
against
to you.
someone,
It's all about
as
the
well
net.
as
And so
the
that
state charge. If you're
script
going to file a
has been
state charge
very
against
helpful
somebody,
in
you
kind
better
of
go get a restraining
reframing
order
the
against that person
idea
immediately
of
before
what
they
is
take
going
legal
on and
action
how it
against
works.
you.
It makes
Trust me,
really
you can get really
helpful.
burned. You
Now,
might have to go hire a
one of the
lawyer.
things that we
Might cost you
definitely want to
$12,000
continue
to get out of
for
something.
all of you is, as you're having
Easily to
conversations
defend
with
yourself against these
our
bastards.
counterparts out in the market,
Listen to this.
EXP, there's a lot of ways a buyer's broker can get paid. The buyer can pay you directly, the seller can pay you directly, or a seller to a buyer in their concession, and the buyer can pay. Like, all of that happens, but you as an EXP listing agent, you're only negotiating your fee straight up for the price of the listing. And that's what's so important here, is we want to continue to drive that home and add clarity. You're only negotiating your listing fee. The seller's going to decide what they would do for a buyer broker. And that's why we've got additional forms. Our forms are so clear. That way everything is broken apart. Now,
You're going to have to list my house for
recognize
free.
in some marketplaces
And
our
the
forms,
buyer's going to
other
have to
companies may
pay
not
the
want to
buyer's
use
broker
them.
fees.
And that's okay.
That's what I
What I
want.
will share with you openly.
I'm a seller, man. I just want to
is
get
our
paid. I
company
want
has
to sell
been
my house.
recognized by the Consumer Federation of America as our buyer broker and our listing agreement to be very top-notch, very forthcoming, and easy to use for the consumer. We're also seeing many associations across the country adapt and adopt pieces of our forms as they update theirs. We're also getting feedback from real estate commissioners and departments of real estate, the Real Estate Commission, basically saying we can get behind your forms. They're so easy to use. These are consumer friendly. Now, why do I share all of that with you? We are focused on how we build your business and take care of you, not just today, but in the future. And because we know we've got an idea of where things are heading, how can we be the most consumer friendly? So
Man,
you can do
you
a better
EXP
business.
agents are going to
We've
get
set our
busted.
forms up
You're
to
doing it on your
design
YouTube
that
channels.
You can walk
You're not
through
doing
each
full
paragraph,
disclosure.
telling the story of how you take
You're
care of that
advertising
consumer,
that the
and that's
builders
what's so
in these
important to
communities
us.
are
So,
offering
as you use
4%
these forms,
interest
you're
rates
working with people in
and
your local
25,
marketplace,
and you're
if you need
advertising
assistance,
that they're
your state
offering
brokers
an
are
amount
so
up
ready
front
to help. We want to
in
make
your
sure this
YouTube
is
channels.
easy. If you need a phone call to the other broker, the other agent,
Oh,
we're
well.
happy to do that for you. I know I've made phone calls.
I know that the
Kendall's
state of
made phone
Florida,
calls, Leo's made phone
the
calls.
inspectors at the state of
We're all
Florida
here
that
to
work for
help
the
and
governor,
support you in
they're
that
not going to do
respect.
anything.
Yeah,
It's all smoke and mirrors anyways. There's no accountability in the state of Florida, so agents can do whatever they want.
Again,
That's a
each
fact.
market has been very different. Some of you watching
Sad.
this, or probably the ones not watching it,
Yep.
haven't
The
felt
people that work
much
for
of a
Governor
shift because it's
DeSantis
not
at the
a
state
big
of
deal in your
Florida,
market.
the Board of Commissioners,
And then other-
they're not going to do
other
anything
you
to
have
any
experienced
agents if they do
completely
something wrong.
polar opposite experience.
There's no accountability.
So we know,
Especially
we
now
will
with the
use-
new
Tell
rules.
your state brokers, tell your designated broker, message me directly. Holly's not exaggerating. I've been on the phone with many CEOs of other very large companies saying, look, this is not widespread issue, but this one state of yours, there's a couple of folks who've kind of gone completely rogue, and I fully want you to know what's going on so you can address your folks yourself.
Yep, I told
Yeah,
you.
and
I
Carla,
emailed
I'm
him
so
about
glad
my
you reached
agent
out
from EXP
specifically
Alliance
on,
Group.
hey,
She's
what's going
going
on, boots on
rogue.
the ground.
That's
We
what
wanna
she's
hear from
doing.
you. Leo,
EXP
Kendall,
Alliance
and
Group.
I, your state brokers,
your regional directors, Lauren Coleman, our VP of Brokerage
Oh, yeah.
Operations. We are all active in workplace.
I'll be complaining to you guys.
So if you have an idea,
Always.
you have feedback, you have a need.
But I
we
got to
wanna
tell you,
know
when you do
because
that,
we're
you got to be
taking
careful.
action.
You might end
And
up
so
in
many of the
handcuffs.
creation of the forms
You might
have
end
come
up in
from you all.
handcuffs
Your asks,
for
your needs,
harassing your
your
agent.
feedback, and so we're
You gotta be
constantly
careful.
working to be better for you.
This woke,
All right,
this
let's talk
woke
about buyer
industry, this
strategies,
woke
Kendall. I
industry,
think
boy.
there's a lot here
we
to
go.
unpack from
First
first-time
time
home
buyer. Here
buyers,
we go.
etc. So jump in and be awesome.
Yeah, of course. Well, one of the ones that really pops out on this page to me is setting and resetting expectations, right? So, because I want to give you guys also time to talk about this, but I think this is the number one breakdown of every relationship you've ever had, whether it's personal, professional, with a customer, with a partner or spouse, is unmet expectations, right? And so part of the reason we have these unmet expectations is because, number one, we often think we don't have them, or number two, we fail to communicate them. So this is a really important place.
Well, they don't speak English
where
at
you can
EXP
set
Alliance
yourself
Group,
up
so
for
how can you
success
communicate
as well as
with
the
them?
customer is by
How?
making sure that you are sharing with them what is going to happen, how it's going to work, what they should expect next, what your role is, how you plan to protect them, assist them, and help them. And then also, too, guys, my other saying is, I'm a lawyer, so I can't help it. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist.
That's right.
So make sure as you're
If it's
having
not
these
in writing, it never
conversations,
happened.
that you're documenting them, sending a quick email after the follow-up of a call, letting the customer know, like, hey, this is what we discussed. Here's our next steps. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And this is what we should expect next. I think that's just such a real and important opportunity to set a buyer up for success, because right now, regardless of how we think,
My
that things
EXP
change
Alliance
or
Group
didn't
agent
change,
from
for
Orlando
the
set me up for
consumer,
failure.
this is a change for them,
Failure.
especially the buyer. And so we want to make sure that we can
Failure,
assist them
man.
do that by
Shit.
over communicating, being transparent, and
Shit.
again, helping them understand this new process.
You got to be careful. I'll never work with an EXP agent ever
I
again.
love that set, reset, and what to
Look at
expect.
that guy Leo.
One of
He's
the
in
things that I
charge.
found so
He's the
powerful
CEO of
in
EXP.
what our
Look at
best
him.
agents
He
are
looks
doing
lost. He
is
looks so
strategy with the
sad.
lender.
He
When
looks
you have
rejected.
a great lender partner, especially for a first-time home buyer,
'Cause he's
they're
just
not quite
he's
sure.
not happy.
And in changing markets,
Changing-
things that I want you to consider are:
changing
what is the close of
demographics,
escrow and
changing
timing?
markets.
Is FHA taking longer? Is it shorter? Could we speed this up? Because that may play
Down
to
payment
what the
blues,
seller's
baby.
needs are. Does the seller need a longer close of escrow, or do they need a short one and a rent back so they can go buy something
Man.
else? These are all strategies in time.
I've seen
Then
it already
also,
on
what are you
EXP
seeing
YouTube
appraisal-wise?
videos.
Are the appraisals
They're telling
coming in
you
at market?
that the
Now,
sellers
I was
are
visiting
offering
with,
down payment
Sean,
monies,
Patrick from
closing
Success
costs,
Lending last week, and what he was sharing with me
compensations,
specifically
and they're
around
advertising that
appraisals
already. It's against
is
the
that
law.
We're seeing
Fuck.
appraisals go directly from the boots on the ground appraisal directly to the lender as far as underwriting, and there's almost no time for any appraisal challenges. So as a listing agent, I want to know that, because that's going to make sure that I'm going out with my appraisal package. I'm meeting the appraiser at the property. I'm giving them comps that the seller used to determine their sales price. I'm giving them comparables that shouldn't be used and why. Maybe there's a foreclosure, held for sale, there were issues with the house, like all of those things. I want to be so detailed that I'm showing up and I'm fighting for that purchase price. But as a buyer's agent, I want to know as well, because if somebody's overpriced, I want to make sure that my buyers still get the concessions or any assistance in down payment or financing that they need. I don't want that taken out because the appraisal came in low. And then also, what repairs are we concerned about? Are we looking at things, am I walking up and wow, the deck is rough, or do we have dry rot? How's the roof? Like all of those types of things. Now, because of the storms that we just saw across the Southeast, guys, please be checking your flood insurance. Please be checking your roof. We're seeing insurance companies pull out of states, or they are very limited.
You got
on
to do
what
flood
they will
disclosure
cover.
now.
And that is a cost.
You gotta
of
tell
ownership.
the
We wanna
potential
strategize in
buyers.
advance
Flood
with our
disclosure.
lender and with our home
You gotta
buyer.
do flood
And if
disclosure
you're doing
now.
that up front, this is a skills-based market, as Leo said. The professionals rise. So these are things and tips and tricks I want you in your back pocket to be able to pull out, because the cost of ownership, the cost of purchase is all part of this strategy. Leo, you want to add anything here?
EXP, you owe me money.
All right, let's
you owe
go.
me $12,000.
So changing market mindset. Now, this is where I giggle a little bit, because some of you all are like, Holly, we still have short inventory, interest rates are still high. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about changing market. We know it's coming. This is what I will say. You always build the boat before it rains, and this is where we're at. So as a result, I want you to start to think about what it looks like as a listing agent in time on market.
You always build a boat before it rains. Sounds like Noah's Ark. Armenians know a little bit about that.
And Leo, this is where
the fuck out
you
of here,
saw
man.
that crazy
Bitch.
market where
Don't
we
insult
went
me.
from 04,
Don't
05,
insult me.
06, and then
Don't tell me what to do about building boats before a storm. I don't need your shit.
Agent right now.
What's your name? Malarkey?
From a seller's market to
What's your
maybe
name?
equilibrium.
What's that Irish?
So
What's
one thing
that
I wanna
Irish
point out
English
is I
name?
personally
Malarkey.
do not think we're going to see the level of correction
Melberry,
we saw in 2008 and 9. It was
ugly
a very
woman.
systemic issue, and there
Boy,
was
she is
an
ugly, too.
oversupply,
God,
which
thanks.
has put us into a deficit for the last
Let me
15
see.
years. So we're short like 10 million homes. So very different market. With that said, what we're seeing
Holly.
in pricing, it's super regionalized.
Mayberry.
Right? It has to do a lot more with the micro
Damn.
than the macro. So like a hotspot
Damn,
like
she's
Austin.
ugly. Look at this
where
guy.
there was a
This
lot of
guy's
movement
loser,
for tech,
loser. Got a lot of
post-COVID,
money
there's been a
though.
lot more
He made his
virtual
money.
opportunities.
Leo.
So we've seen markets that were on
He's
fire
the CEO of EXP.
continue to go down quicker than other
He's
markets.
the leader
that even though
of
they still
EXP.
rose
He's
really
the
quickly.
CEO now. Not
there's
the
been
founder, but he's the
stability. So I live in
CEO. He's
South
running the
Florida,
ship.
and the
He's running the
continued
ship.
influx of
He's the
folks have
captain.
maintained this market while others that were kind of COVID darlings like South Florida have started to soften and come down. What I remember very vividly from that market is even when it feels quick, real estate is actually slow moving. So, but this is the thing that I had to learn and had to educate sellers on. And the sentence I always use: you never want to catch a falling knife. So what happens with a depreciating or a softening market is that the seller is holding on to 6-month-old comps, right? So when you're looking at comps out and you're trying to make listing price adjustments, you need to be seeing what's closing that week, the last 2 weeks, right? Because the market's moving. And then typically, depending on the level of motivation, being very specific to the consumer and their wants and needs and their level of motivation, you want to try to get below the comps, right? In an appreciated market, you're pushing the comps. In a depreciating or softening market, you're aggressively trying to get below them, because if there's 10 properties for sale that are similar product, geography, price, you want to be the best looking and best priced property, versus when the market's appreciating, there's going to be multiple offers, you may be the one pushing the prices up. And so
you always want the best looking, best price when you're trying to sell your house.
Representation.
That's the only way you're going to sell your house quickly.
Making sure that you're taking
you want to be the cheapest house in your neighborhood, and you want to be the best house in your neighborhood. Your house has to be better than everybody else's, and it has to be cheaper than everybody else's. It just makes sense. Okay?
You need to be able to articulate.
If there's 10 cars in the parking lot and they're all identical, yours has to look better than the identical, and it has to be cheaper.
And what's going on in your market is absolutely regional. It's absolutely local. And the relationships that you build.
If my neighbor is selling their house for $325 and it's just like mine, and it looks better than mine, I better sell mine for less, and I better make mine look better than theirs.
My feeder markets, I always watched what was happening in California, Napa Valley, things like that, because if that softened, that absolutely impacted me. And so look at your feeder markets. What is going on as a listing agent? Who's coming in and who maybe is stalling? Because that will indicate kind of where you're going to be in the next 6 months. Now, what does my magic 8-ball say? Check back tomorrow. So please be watching that list to sales price. Please be watching and be aware that everything right now is a negotiation. Some days it's going to be up, but it's going to be very, very personal to the client who's sitting across the table to you. They are going to be moving because of need. Right now, most home sellers who are going on the market, about 34%, are needing to list because they've had a life change. That's important to know right now. That life change, they will move heaven and earth.
My life change was I got affected by a rotten EXP Alliance Group agent. That's been my life change.
What is causing that seller to sell, and what is
EXP was my negative
now,
life
Kendall,
change.
you and I have had a lot of conversations on value and competitive advantage. Dig in and tell me all the awesome.
Yeah, so, I wanted to really bring this up in this post-NAR settlement world is because, leading up to the settlement, as well as really the deadline, a lot of conversation was around articulating value. And I think we beat that dead horse, right? Like everyone understands you have to articulate your value. But where I want the mindset to shift is to now you need to articulate your competitive advantage. And that is a real mindset shift, in my opinion, whether you're on the list side or the buy side. I want you to stop being so focused on here's my value, but more like here's why working with me is better, right, than the competition. And so, for example, some thoughts I have on this are, are you a one-stop shop or a one-trick pony, right? Do you have access to the tools, the resources, the skill sets that the customer is going to need to?
You got to go with Remax, Berkshire Hathaway,
which is their goal, right?
Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker.
Vision where they're
just go look at Remax and Berkshire Hathaway videos on YouTube, as opposed to EXP really Alliance Group,
when you're thinking about
Legacy Group, Avocito Team.
How is your
look at all of them.
The experience more efficient?
Remax
right?
and Berkshire Hathaway.
Super important for
you don't see a person in the video.
What knowledge
all you see is the property. They give you driving directions, address, everything. Unlike EXP,
like where a customer
they don't give you nothing.
Really needs
nothing.
Where they can negotiate and or get dialed in.
They won't tell you the address, driving directions, the builder's name.
You cannot overstate the importance of negotiation. And then, of course, what are the tools in the tool belt that you have access to? Like, are you talking to your customers about assumable mortgages, cash offers, buy before they sell before they buy, tools like Curbio that are helping you, fix up a home and the seller doesn't even have to pay the fee until closing. These are real resources that solve real problems, right? And so focus on selling the problem. Don't sell the solution, sell the problem. You are the solution at the end of the day. And that
see before. All these agents, they're so full of crap. All they were focused on was builders. They're focused on builders and sellers because they would get their monies up front. Now it's not, now they can't. They can't do that. They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to get paid up front, but they're still getting paid. They're still breaking the law.
We want to make sure that everybody's aware, this is not law. Words matter here, how you articulate to a consumer the changes that we're experiencing. The changes are for us as an industry, but how we operate to take care of them. Because again, we are the solution. We are here to guide them through. So as you educate the client, make sure you're using proper terminology and what's the benefit, like how you show up, how you negotiate, how this is a win for them. Go ahead, Kendall. What else you want to share there?
I know this is a hot button for me. I'm constantly I try to remind agents, and leaders out there that yes, this is not law. These are NAR, or trade organization and MLF rules and policies that we as subscribers and members have agreed to participate in and respect and to do, right? And to take action on. Also, I do want to say this too. I've seen it before, both in writing and spoken. People would say, oh, the DOJ ruling. Technically, we do not have a DOJ ruling, guys. So let's not refer to it that way, right? So okay. There's a handful of states out there I know that do have state law around agency or
that's why you don't want to work with EXP, folks.
Or agreements, but they're actually the minority at this time.
These people are perverted.
So it's not law yet, at least not yet, and I don't know if it ever will be. But these are the rules and policies that we as members have agreed to participate in. So language absolutely matters. So please make sure that
you guys were just talking about if it ain't in writing, it didn't happen. And now you're saying words matter. Wow, which is it?
The data will
fucking hypocrites, man. EXP, stay away from them. Gosh damn, man. It cost me $25,000. I'm a disabled vet. Oh, God.
Most things in real estate are either
what a bunch of bastards.
Or not enforceable. Right, so just like
I'm so glad
landlord can say if your rent's not due.
That as a disabled veteran, I know the power of freedom of speech.
You could never enforce that.
And what goes around comes around. You a-holes want to be on YouTube? Well, I can be on YouTube too. Talking shit. You want to talk your game? I'll talk my game against you. That's all I got. Waste my time on EXP, Alliance Group, these people right here, these three bozos. lying to
Whereas
people,
to
setting
probably
people up for
spend less time
disaster.
worrying about the inside baseball terminology and being well
Realtors,
on how
they
to
shouldn't get more
help
than
buyers and sellers
500
navigate
bucks,
this market.
$1,000 per
The
transaction.
amount of chatter I see
Flat
in
base fee.
Facebook groups,
It's a bunch of
where
crap.
we're getting way too in the weeds. It's like, what can and can't we do and
See?
protect our consumers in the best way possible?
What can't you
Because,
do? Go check
you know,
that YouTube.
We're right on track to do about 4 million transactions as a country. Hopefully, if interest rates hold at where they are going into Q4, my humble prediction is maybe a 10% bump in transaction count. So we move up closer to 4.5 million transactions. There's going to be more people coming into the market. As rates come down,
I'm gonna do whatever I
we
can
have
to stop
sellers that
people
are
from
less
using
rate locked, so
EXP.
they might be willing to move. So we'll
Don't
probably
do a
see some increase on both
transaction with
sides, on the
EXP.
seller side and the buyer
You
side.
pieces of crap.
And so just
I'm so
be
sick of you, Leo.
We're ready and able
liar.
to articulate with the least amount of confusion, right?
Leo, I'll send you
as
another
much as
email.
that
You
is
won't
what we
answer
do.
me back.
You don't want to put on a legal seminar
big
for your
wimp.
customers.
You're a
of
wimp.
bunch of words from a settlement agreement.
Look at Leo.
Versus just say, hey,
What a
let me take
joker.
care of you. This is how we used to do it. This is how we do it forward, and this is how we.
What a joker.
It's all about the consumer. At the end of the day, everything that we do is how we take care of the consumer. And I know for us at EXP, we're looking to next and how we take care of you. And Leo, as our CEO, as we kind of wrap up our time together today, can you kind of cast the vision out of what we're looking at and where we're going?
Yeah, so we jumped on this very early on, and I would say the theme since I've been at the company has really been on operational excellence. We understand that we are your real estate brokerage above anything else. There's a lot of other real estate companies that think they're tech companies. I fully understand that we're a real estate brokerage that's tech enabled, and so paying you guys as fast as possible, answering your brokerage questions as fast as possible. When necessary, creating the forms that maybe your state or MLSs haven't delivered to you. We want to give you every tool in your tool belt to help buyers and sellers meet their needs when they need you at the moment they need you. So keep watching all of the stuff we're rolling out. We've been rolling out really good training programs like FastCap that's in its initial cohort. We had a beta in August that was phenomenal. We were oversubscribed for the September group.
EXP buyer
Working with
beware.
Brian on how to launch that very frequently.
EXP
I'm not sure
buyer
the
beware.
frequency we'll get to, but in an ideal world, I want to launch it every week or every other week, so we can empower agents to get
Remax,
that ramp
Caldwell
part of
Banker,
their business.
Berkshire
There's going to be
Hathaway,
a lot of AI
Keller
stuff
Williams.
coming. We're hosting
Use those
our
companies.
first ever hackathon during EXPCon, and we're super excited because our partner is OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT.
EXPCon in Miami.
And Glenn is
500 bucks to
working
get
on
in.
all kinds of
Fuck that. I ain't going.
ChatGPTs that are self-contained and domain.
You guys are just going to
specific
pat each other on the
to make
back
you
and
guys
give
go
each other
faster, stronger,
trophies
better.
and awards.
And again, just continuing to
You
partner
guys are
with
just
the
a
best
bunch of
quality
phonies.
solutions, whether we can make them completely included in your bundle of services or substantially better priced than if you were to go.
You guys are a basket of deplorables. EXP Alliance Group Orlando, basket of deplorables.
The goal of an enterprise that
None of
just
them
sells
speak
products and
English.
services is to remove as much friction from the transaction as possible. So for us, to you guys, it's being there for you when you need us and meeting you in whatever format you need, whether that's the world, chat, text, phone call, Google Meet. I invite you guys to look at your business that way, right? How do you remove as much friction from the buying and selling process with the level of uncertainty we're seeing? And now we just close with reminder to have as much grace as possible. We were fortunate to have a very scaled, robust platform, and that covers from the amount of brokers we have, the leadership team we have, the technology and the resources we have.
Bullshit.
And that's where I invite you to have as much grace as possible, because there's a lot of smaller companies
Pyramid scam.
that just don't have those resources. One of the reasons we chose to open source everything, and we continue to do that. If you run
Shit.
across
Remax,
someone who
Berkshire
maybe
Hathaway,
finds it
Caldwell Banker,
or,
Keller Williams.
difficult, it might be purely based of fear and exhaustion.
Oh, excuse
I would
me.
invite you to share with them all of our
They don't
tools
have
that are
what?
completely open to any company.
Don't
And
be
maybe
making
send them a
fun
couple
of
links
other
to
companies,
presentations like
buddy.
this one and others that
What a
we put
pussy.
together.
That's a pussy move right there.
Because
That's a
You know,
weak
we're all in
pussy
this
move
together,
right there.
And we may not be.
We might not have the same
cooperating at
resources.
station
We might
on
have.
the
They
emotion anymore,
might.
but
These
we're
little
still
smaller
very
people
capable
might not have the
operators in
resources
industry,
we have.
which makes us unique.
You
and
don't know
special.
shit.
And we
Probably
need
one of the
both
smallest
buyers and
companies
sellers to have expert
right around the
representation,
corner
because
from
if
your
these families
agency
see their
is
goal
kicking ass and taking names
least amount of
and probably has twice the
And so again,
technology as you,
to
boy.
me, having
So be
a
careful.
professional agent on
You ought to
both
get your
sides of
mouth
the
washed out with
transaction is the
soap.
best thing
Look at those
possible for
lips.
consumers to avoid litigation and
Look at him. Look at him.
liability
He can't even look at the
and just
camera straight.
maneuvering the process. So lead with grace. We
You're
will get
weak.
to a new normal. My
You
guess
just
is
took a
sometime next
stab
year,
at
whether it's
smaller
Q2 or
companies
Q3.
that fictitiously
I
you
just
don't
remind
even know they
everybody that
exist or not.
this chaos
They may
will
not have.
soon
Well, we
remind
have.
us of
What an
the chaos
elitist.
of when COVID hit
Oh.
and we were wiping down our groceries and not sure what we
Wow.
needed to do in order to stay safe. We'll get to a new normal, and all the states will have figured out their path forward, and we will have
He looks so
SOPs
worried.
to deal with
Look at him.
those decisions.
We're gonna
And
figure it
we
out
will
someday. We're gonna
families
figure this
buy and
out.
sell real estate.
Awesome.
He
Leo,
sounds like
thank
a strong
you.
leader.
Thank you, Kendall.
We're gonna figure
Everybody
this
out there,
out.
thank you for giving
He
us
looks
a
so
little bit of your
dejected.
time today.
He can't wait till the
And
show's over.
We're focused on you as us.
He looks
We're here to
dejected.
build your
He's the
business.
leader of
We need to
EXP.
take it,
And he
to
says
any
it's going
level
to take a
success
couple of
that's
months to
most
figure
important to
things
you
out.
and
Look
your
at
family.
him. Look
If
at
you
him.
haven't yet,
Oh
we
my
invite
God.
you to join us at
Oh my
EXP
God. Hey,
Con
Captain.
Here at the end
Where are we
of
going,
the month.
Captain?
We will be in Miami.
Where the hell-
So if you're looking to build
Miami.
your business, you're looking to infuse more of the good stuff.
You wanna go
invest in
there?
Yourself, we do have space available.
I know
for
you do.
So please,
Believe me, I got
register
I got
as soon as
invited.
possible.
I got
I
invited.
would love to meet you in person. I know Leo and Kendall.
I
as
got
well.
invited to the
Thank you,
VIP
everybody.
thing.
Thank you
I'm
for
not going
45
because I
days
don't want to
later.
run into a
Have
certain
a
somebody that might be
fantastic
there.
Friday.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Leo, we'll see you.
Yes, and I know we're going to iconic conversations.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Look at these
Kicking
guys.
it off. So thank you, Kendall. Michelle,
It's going
you're
to
up
be
next.
great. All right. These guys are great. Orlando, Michelle Kel. She must know my real estate agent that screwed me. Michelle Kelly. Huh? Oh, well. We'll get him one of these days. What a bunch of jokers.